Here we have two tables representing points on two different lines. So if we don't have graphs to help us find the slopes, but we have tables, we can still find the slopes of lines being represented. So let's just take a step back and think about our graphs. We said slope is rise over run, and we said that rise was that vertical change, that up and down change, and that run was the horizontal change, the left or right change. Well, vertically, the rise is a change in y value. Or using notational shorthand, we call that delta y. The delta symbol stands for change. The run, the horizontal, that's the change in the x value. So that's delta x. So if we look at our tables, we see that our tables are divided into x values and y values. And each xy pair represents a point on our line. So to find the slope, you just need to pick 2 points. If you don't like to work with negative numbers, you could always just pick the points that are positive. So in this case, on the vertical table, that would be the points 0, 5, and 311. If I'm looking for my change in y, I want to make sure that I'm looking in my y column and I'm looking at my y values. And my change in y to go from 5 to 11 is plus 6. Now, if you have trouble thinking about how do I go from 5 to 11, that's the same as saying 11 subtract 5. Oops, not 6. I want 5. 11 subtract 5 is going to equal a change of 6. For my run, I'm looking at that change in x. So to go from 0 to 3, that's an increase of 3. Or again, I could take the second value, subtract the first value to find that change in x. So 11 minus 5 gives us the change in y. 3 minus 0 gives us the change in x. So our slope for the line represented by this table, if we're strictly thinking in terms of is the change in the rise or the change in y over the change in x, which is the run, we found the change in y is 6. We found the change in x is 3. And again, I can divide 6 by 3 for a slope of 2. I can do this with a horizontal table as well. I just have to make sure I'm pairing up my numbers. I'm going to go ahead and select the points that are positive. You can do this with the points that are negative. And I'm going to start with my change in y. So my y is the bottom row. So to go from 10 to 0, that's subtracting 10. Or that's like saying 0 subtract 10. I'm taking the second number and subtracting the first number. To find my change in x, that's the top row. To go from 1 to 6, I'm going to add 5. Or that can be found by taking 6 subtract 1 equals the 5. Then for my slope, it's my change in y over my change in x. So my change in y was negative 10, negative 10. My change in x was a positive 5. I can divide negative 10 by 5, and I have a slope of negative 2 for the line represented by that horizontal table.